I'm gonna try and condense these stories to make them a lot shorter, so that this video isn't, you know, like super long. And I just wasted like 15 seconds telling you that. Hey, welcome back to my channel. So it's been a while. So a couple of you reached out to me on Instagram asking me where I was and what was going on. It had been over a month since I had released a video. I just put out my String of Turtles care video on Monday, but the last time that I put out a video was over a month ago, like a month and a half ago. And there's a reason for that. The month of March and what came after March? April? April, yeah. The month of March and April were they were a mess. So we're gonna get into just exactly what happened, but we're also gonna do a plant haul while we do it because I did get a couple new plants during that period of time. So we're gonna start off with the first plant that I got in this little plant haul, and it is this Syngonium. So I got this Syngonium at a Sobeys. And the reason I picked it up is because it had these really dark leaves, and I haven't seen a Syngonium that had these dark leaves. It's not really showing up, but they're closer to like black almost. They look like that ZZ Raven sort of black coloration. I had a huge Syngonium that died on me last fall. I repotted it a bunch of times, and I think I just disturbed the roots way too much, and it didn't like that. But since then, I haven't had a Syngonium, and Syngoniums are one of the easiest plants to care for. They're just like a pothos. They'll grow in any medium, and they're super easy. So yeah, that was the first one that I picked up. But if you know the actual name of this Syngonium, please let me know in the comments below, because it didn't even say Syngonium on the tag. It just said tropical plant. So it'd be nice to know what this actually is. And that brings us to our first story. So I got COVID. I got COVID in March. It was like the second week of March or something. I still had some videos that came out while I was sick with COVID, but that's because I had a whole bunch queued. But I got COVID from my sister and her kids, and it was a little frustrating at the beginning because through this whole pandemic, we've been very safe with everything, with going out, with cleaning everything. I'm a type 1 diabetic, and I was told really early on that it would be very bad for me to get COVID, so I was like terrified of it for a long time, and it was not fun. So the worst thing for me was the headaches. I knew I was sick because I got a headache first, and I never get headaches, but I got this headache, and it was so painful, and it like knocked me out, and that's when I knew that something was wrong. So for about a week, I think it was like the second or third week of March, I was just out. I slept the whole time. I had like body aches. I also had an old knee injury flare up, which was like super weird. Like that would attack this injury that I had from like 12 years ago. I never lost my sense of taste or smell, even though a few other people in my family did. It didn't affect my blood sugars at all, which I thought was kind of strange because I had all these diabetic doctors telling me that if I got it, we'd have to treat it like a flu, which really affects your blood sugar. And honestly, I think out of the whole family, it affected me the least. My mom and my youngest sister, actually, I think they had it the worst. But to this day, we're all still fighting like weird side effects. So for me, the biggest side effect, I can't concentrate on anything for very long, which has been hard to like sit down and make YouTube videos because I have no attention span. And I mean, I didn't have any attention span before. I have like ADHD or something, but this just like enhanced it to the point where before I could like sit down, I could like spend a day working on a project, but now it's like in 5 minutes, I mentally cannot concentrate on something long enough. I just can't. I just can't. And I'm also very tired a lot. But yeah, it kind of sucked because in April, I live in Ontario, which is a complete and total disaster right now in terms of vaccination and this whole pandemic. But in April, I was supposed to be able to get my vaccine because I'm type 1 diabetic, and they were opening it up to that phase where diabetics could get vaccinated. That hasn't actually been the case. I don't think I'll be able to book an appointment until May, really, because Ontario is just... it's a complete mess. But when everybody voted for a guy whose platform was a buck of beer, I don't know what they expected. But yeah, so it was interesting. I like didn't want COVID. I didn't set out to get COVID. You know, I've been very strict with the whole pandemic, but it happened, and you just kind of deal with it as it comes and rest and take care of yourself. I mean, obviously for other people, like the whole point of isolating and everything is to prevent yourself from passing it to someone else, because it could affect somebody else worse than it does you, because we have no idea how it's going to affect everybody. So I was very lucky in that it really didn't affect me that much. Like, it was a week of a bad cold. I've had flus that were worse. But for a lot of people, we're seeing that they're not so lucky, and it does affect them more. But yeah, that was my March, basically. So the next plant that I got is one of my favorites from this kind of like haul period. And I didn't go out and get these plants when I had COVID. I stayed at home for like the 2 weeks, and then when the government told me I could go out, that's when I started to, you know, rejoining society, which was a bummer because society. But yeah, this is the plant right here. It's a Begonia immaculata. And it is my favorite begonia. I've wanted one of these for like 3 or 4 years. So this is just a little one right now. But I'm gonna try and grow it into a tree. I have other begonias. I have a Begonia Sophie Cecile, which I have a care video coming up soon for. But I like the leaves on the immaculata so much better. They're just these long spotted leaves. They don't have the like texture or the ruffled look that the Sophie Cecile has. But yeah, I'm really happy with this plant, that I even found this plant, because it's been really hard finding one of these. So yeah, I'm very happy with this one. So that brings us to the next story. So at the end of March, I think it was a couple weeks after I had been cleared of COVID, and it was like the day after my youngest sister Victoria was cleared from COVID. We actually bought a house. Technically, we didn't buy it, so we are moving to the country with my grandparents. So we bought a house that has like 3 different living spaces. My grandparents are going to be on the bottom floor, my parents on like the main floor, and I'm going to have a garage apartment. So it's an apartment over the garage. It's really nice. I'm looking forward to decorating it and making it look really nice. It'll probably be super gay. But yeah, so it was kind of a surprise. It came out of nowhere. My mom found this house. She sent it to my grandparents. We liked it. We had our reservations about it. I mean, it's small. It's a lot smaller than the house we're in right now, and it needs some work to be done to it, but work that we can do to it. And then my grandparents made an offer and they got it. So as soon as that happened, we were recovering from COVID, but we started packing things up and taking stuff off the wall. You can see around me that like my room is pretty bare. I usually have stuff hanging all over my walls. I'm losing a little bit of like livable space. I mean, right now the basement is kind of like the family basement and my bedroom is down here, but I have that whole area out there to like put up plants, to do all of my art and everything like that, to work on the board game. So I'm losing a little bit of space, but I'm gaining a lot of light, and I'm gaining like my own real space, which is nice and is going to be weird because the dogs don't really have free range of the house like they do here. So it's going to be weird like having to go into the garage to let them into the main house, and then I don't know how that's all going to work, but we'll figure it out. But here I'm going from west facing windows. So this window and the windows out in the basement are all west facing, and they get pretty good light, but I'm going from that to a north and south facing living space with windows, and it's super bright in there, so the plants are gonna love it, and I'm really excited. So we've been packing things up, making things look nice for the showing for our house, and because of that, I don't think I'm going to be doing as many videos this summer, especially in the late summer in August and July, because that's when we're going to be, you know, having showings and selling the house and packing things up to move to this new house. So I'm going to try every once in a while to throw a video in here and there, but expect a little bit less videos this summer than there were last summer. Okay, so for the third plant that I just got this last week or a week before or something. It's this little tiny orchid. So I have a bunch of these just like, you know, grocery store orchids. I have a big regular one, then I have one that's a bit smaller that said it was like a small orchid or something. And this one just says mini orchid. And it's so cute, it's so tiny. All of my orchids have flowered for me multiple times, which is really exciting. And I just saw the little purple leaves on this one, and I thought it was too cute, so I had to pick it up. It was only like $9. I got it at Home Depot in Whippy or something like that. But yeah, it's got a whole bunch of other buds that have yet to open, so pretty exciting. So the final like little story thing that happened to me, I think it was in April that it happened, was I was over COVID. It had been a few weeks since I had been over COVID, and I hadn't worked out since the beginning of March, before I got COVID. And I was like feeling kind of gross. I gained 10 pounds in like that period where I had COVID. I've lost that 10 pounds thankfully, and I need to keep losing more weight. But I decided to go for a run out of like nowhere without stretching or training for it, or, you know, having worked out beforehand. So I went out, I went for a run, and it was awful. It was awful. Don't, like, take your time healing from COVID before you start working out again, because I had 0 lung capacity. It was just, it sucked. It was embarrassing, and it just sucked. And then I got back, and the next morning I woke up and my knee was in so much pain. So 12 years ago, I dislocated my knee. I slipped, fell on ice, and then I went to grab my knee and felt the kneecap on the complete side of my knee, and I panicked and just kind of shoved it back on top. And it was swollen for like a good week. But then I got over it. But then when I got COVID, it kind of like attacked the knee ligament, so the LCL, which is the ligament on the outside of the knee, and it was all inflamed. It was really sore. Like, it was the most sore part of my body. Like, I had headaches, I had body aches and stuff, but my knee kept me awake all night long just because it was in so much pain. And the exact same thing happened again. So my LCL flared up, and I was just in so much pain that I couldn't sleep for about a week, and it really sucked. I couldn't even walk. And I think it was a combination of like running again too soon after being sick, and also just what's left over of COVID in me attacking that weak part of my body. So it was not fun, and it definitely was not worth the pathetic little run that I got in beforehand, because that didn't do anything. So my last plant haul isn't really a plant haul, it's more like a planter haul. Because I'm moving to a new place, I have spent like way too much time looking at each plant and assessing the pot that it's in and where it's gonna go and how I want it to set up. But I wanted to put a bunch of stuff on the wall or hanging, just because I'm gonna lose some surface space in this area because it's more long than it is wide. So I found these at Walmart, and I got 2 of them. And they're plant hangers, and right now I have my Hoyas in them. This one's a little weird because this planter is a lot higher than this planter, but I'm gonna hang them up, and I'm gonna see if I can find a way to attach. I got 2 of these, so I'm gonna see if I can find a way to attach the second one beneath it and create kind of like a tiered look of them. But these planters are so cool because they also have like little feet, so you can just set them down on a table or something, and they can be a planter for that as well. But I just really like these planters, and they're pretty cheap. I got them for 12 bucks each, and those pots that they're in were also from Walmart for 3 bucks, and I really like those ones as well. But yeah, that's basically why I've been away for the last like month. It sucked, you know, being sick, and it sucked getting COVID, but you know, it happens. It's happened to a lot of people. But I hope that you're all keeping yourself safe and healthy during this time, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks again for watching. Remember to like and subscribe for similar content. On Mondays, I post videos about houseplants, and on Fridays, I also post videos about houseplants, and reading, writing, photography, art, and any other generic interests of mine. As always, you can find my social media links in the description below. Also, you can find links to H&H Games, the board game company I've helped create, and our debut board game, Season of Heroes. You can also find the Amazon links to my fantasy series, A Chronicle of Crowns. Thanks for watching, bye!